running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Hope everyone's having a great start to your Tuesday. Markets look like they want to get running here, so we love to see that. Again, we are Quasar Markets Live. BigBeat is in Ireland. He might pop in here, hopefully, to just say hello, but we're going to give him the day to enjoy with his wife's family. Main talk, let's face it, is still on the Middle East ceasefire. It has sparked a market rally across most equities and has caused a mixed reaction across the commodities. We have seen a little bit of a surge here. Dow getting ready to open up about 10 basis points, up almost 90 basis points, almost a full percentage point. SPY getting ready to open up about 72 basis points to the upside, holding up almost at that 605 level. That 605 seems to be the key resistance there on the SPY currently to keep an eye on. And the NASDAQ was up over 1% here this morning. And you can see maxed out here about 530 this morning, right about 538. 539 area, so broaching or trying to break back up. Will the Qs break to an all-time high here? Is the question that we have to ask today. Not much resistance between it and that number. So, now we have to, you start to look at if it can break above this area. Where does it go? What kind of breakout are we looking at here? You start to figure that your move here basically started at 505 when we gapped up, or 501 if you want to go here. So it's moved up 30. A measured move, a half measured move above that 540 would give us to 555. Wow. If we could make a run up there, and you can see on the daily, channel here in the linear regression, we do have room up there. So don't know if we get there today for sure, but any kind of good news, continued good news, could keep us pushing up here without a doubt. What is not pushing up is crude. We see it dropping well down here, down another 1.1% here this morning, 1.17 on Brent, but we see that drop has really been a two-day drop from a highs of around 78. Down about $10 here. So big drop on oil. Obviously, big news there. Iran has agreed to halt attacks if Israel will stop the bombardments. There's already been arguments across whether or not both countries have broken the truce. So we'll hope that isn't the case. The other thing that is dropping, and I will say that our man here at Quasar Markets, the man from AU Secure himself, Peter Thomas, a legend in the metals markets. He said it's time to maybe switch out some of your gold and silver here, that this could be, the local top here. So I would keep that in mind. You can see a triple top here right around that 30, 34 area, and now retracing. So that came straight from Peter Thomas. It might be a cyclical time to change. We look at treasuries, they are moving down. We see the 10-year here at 4.359, moving up a little bit here in the morning hours, but down from yesterday's highs, near 4.41. So it is good to see the U.S. treasuries start to react in the right way, moving down a little bit. We'll get a little further into Fed Reserve Powell and some other stuff. But basically, the 2-year treasury fell below its 50-day MA for the first time here. Now, it was at 3.84% here. So we saw that definitely move to the other side. Here we go. So it's the first time we've been under this 50-day MA for a while here. It had been the key support on the 2-year. So do we maybe see that people starting to feel that the Fed might lessen up? We have seen all of the Fed speakers talking, but what we saw from Jerome Powell said the Fed will still wait and see on rates until tariffs inflation impact is clear. Couldn't make more clear to him. Come on, it's time to cut. All the other countries are. You need to catch up. There is no reason that we are sitting at these extended rates. And with that being said, July cuts, the odds are just 23% on Fed Watch. For those that wonder where do we get these numbers, is Fed Watch is where you can see what traders are saying. And actually today, if we're looking at the July numbers, it's now down to 16.5%. Feel that there's actually a cut coming. 83.5 feel that even the July is going to come with no change. So we can see that number has actually moved down. Yesterday was over 20. Like I said, it was at 23 at one point yesterday. Now down to 16%. What we start to see is now the move is that people are saying September for cut number one. We see almost a 70% chance of that. And then October, it's sort of a split save. Half the people are saying that a second cut comes. So a lot of people think in September, October cuts right in a row. And then that tends to be where it ends. You know, it's more people are putting bets on that third cut now than we saw before, but not to a tremendous amount. So, just got to be wary of that. We'll also mention DXY's cooled down a little bit also. Back down at 98. So after making that big move above 99, another one that hit the 50-day MA and actually rejected and breaking lower than it was previous. And for me, the other part of this is what Mr. Flanagan always talks about is we are well below the Friday close, which was about 98.73. So need to regain that to feel that there's some comfort level here. Staying below last week's weekly close means maybe King Dollar is not back in play yet. I am in the same light as him, as I do think it will be where everybody comes back to. Just might not be right now. And as I said, it's pulled back now about almost a quarter of a percentage point. And the one that's moving up is the one that has been cutting rates at a pretty, substantial clip, right, is the euro. And we now see that the euro at $1 and almost 16 cents is at its highest levels since before the Ukraine war in June. The Iran conflict, June 12th. So we see a fading preference for the US dollar here. So it does look like, surprisingly to me, people are putting their faith into the euro still almost more than they are the US dollar. So we do see that continues to be a thing. As we look today at what we are at so far, our advanced decline nicely in the green at about 24.27. And you can see that's been marching up steadily most of the day. We opened up here at 7 a.m. down here in the 1,000 area, not even in the 1,000 area. Our first reading was 635, and now has nicely continued to gain steam throughout the morning. Mag 7 is leading the way without a doubt. Tesla just continues to be on fire here after being up 8% yesterday. And we know a lot of this on its robo-taxi news, up 8% yesterday, up another 2.2% here today. I did say watch for a run to that 361, 365 area. I now think it's pretty safe to put it in that 365 area is the next area to watch here. And probably upside potential all the way to 367.75 here on Tesla today. So if it continues to rip, that's what you're looking at. Will say it is teetering out in that same zone that we did earlier today. So I want to see a clear break of 357.15 to play into that follow breakout potential. And again, everything moving up nicely. NVIDIA looks poised to breaking that 145 is a big deal. That's been its tough spot here. So can it break and hold? If it holds above 145 here, very positive in my opinion for NVIDIA also, but a nice move up by all the Mag 7. And if we take a look at the sectors of the S&P covered by the Spider Select funds, everything outside of energy is moving up, and the energy is definitely the area that's getting hit here today. Energy stocks are the ones that are under pressure the most. When I pulled up my laggards here, you see most of them are either energy companies or mining companies. You have XHG and BZ, which are actually both Chinese companies. But then you get right into SSRM, which is SSR Mining, down about 2.76% today. Newmont down about 2.62. So both of these fully giving up the gains they saw yesterday so far. We see continued slide here from Occidental. Again, lost about 3.68% yesterday. Another 2.48 today. So, that's why we say you don't chase these names when they are running on news events. Tweet analysis, not technical analysis. It fades pretty quickly when it does. And again, APA Corp down. CF Industries down about 4% also. Devon Energy, again, down almost 6% over the last 2 days. FANG, same thing, down almost 7%. And then, not surprisingly, the other names we see dropping down today are the defense contractors, right? Yesterday was all about defense contractors. On Monday, yesterday, we got to think about where we are, was really all about defense contractors. Today, that working back against us a little bit here. And we see LMT, RTX, which is Raytheon, Kratos, all moving to the downside today. The other one that I thought was an interesting one, not quite sure why it's moving down. No earnings, no nothing there. I did see they got a Goldman Sachs downgrade, but nothing too big here. But a pretty big move out by Dollar General, down about 2.65%. Retracing almost all of yesterday's gains to the upside. So rejected pretty firmly at that 115 area here and sliding back down. When we look, there is a big list of gainers. A couple of things that I noticed on the gainers I want to point out. Fiserv continues to move up. So yesterday, 4.38%. Today, up another 3.96%. Again, we know that this is on the news of their stable coins. And if we take that a little further, I have an article here about how MasterCard is adopting their stablecoin already and going to integrate it in there. So I know yesterday BigBeat was not a big fan of this because he said, how many do you need? While that is somewhat true, when you're talking about, our Secretary of Treasury saying $2 trillion is going to come into it, it's a pretty big pie. There'll be a few people that get their piece of the pie. And Fiserv seems to be right now the one that has the really good connections between the world of crypto and the world of traditional finance. They're partnering with Circle, CRCL, which we know has been just on absolute fire since its IPO. They're partnering with Paxos. Paxos, in my opinion, one of the best infrastructure when it comes to the world of crypto. They sort of got their hands slapped and ran into some problems. Paxos has always wanted to be the most compliant or be up there with the most compliant stable coins and crypto providers, so to speak. They're incorporated in New York, which has some of the most stringent laws and all of this stuff. But they got into trouble because they fell for the golden apple. They decided to partner with Binance back in the day, and they produced Binance's stablecoin. and that connection to Binance, which later was found to not have proper KYC AML guidelines in place, really hurt Paxos. It really pushed them back. They were right there with Circle, ready to go public, all that stuff, and now have really taken a hit. And then PayPal is the other part, partnering with them. What I love about this is this provides on and off ramps for merchant settlement across MasterCard's global network. It allows businesses and consumers to use stable coins at 150 million MasterCard merchants worldwide. And again, people might say, well, why would I want to do this, or why would I want to? If you travel a lot, this would be the use case for it. You don't have to carry your cash. You don't have to worry about currency exchange rates. It takes some of those middlemen out, right? If we go overseas and you use your American Express, your MasterCard, or Visa a lot, right, and you're using a US dollar to buy something that costs euros, there is added fees in there, right? They hit you with some added fees. What this would do is it would eliminate that, because it would do all this in the background using crypto, and it would cut down those fees, or it should cut down those fees tremendously. Again, it would allow for efficient on and off ramping between fiat and stable coins. Settlement would be an FIUSD, which is Fiserv stable coin, to reduce friction and lower costs. As they mentioned, they're integrating it into MasterCard's multi-token network for programmable on-chain transactions. And it's support for one credentials. Consumers will be able to pay with credit, debit, or stable cards. It does have MasterCard up about 2.7% this morning. Fiserv, like I said, has continued to run. And let's just take a look at MasterCard, because we've had some movement here this morning since I did this earlier. And we do see continuing, it looks like, to move to the upside, now up almost, 6%, 3, 4, 5, almost 5% here between yesterday and today. Circle, which has just still been on fire, which is just amazing to me, up at 263, a $52 billion market cap. Those that have been watching know I was a big fan of this from the start. Once it broke 100, though, and its market cap hit somewhere in that $20 billion mark, I said, man, that seems a little overblown. Man, I misjudged the appetite here, and it has continued just to skyrocket. Almost got to 300. But is Circle really a $52 billion company? I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I think that they will have their hands in almost every sort of area where stable coins right now get done, because it's the easiest way for banks, for anybody that's going to do this. But we've already seen that there's a consortium between JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo sort of working without Circle and the crypto partners to do this on their own, with BitGo and a couple of the other non stablecoin providing infrastructure companies that could help them do that. So, and again, we know that a lot of that is backed by the momentum for the Genius bill. I will point out that while it has skyrocketed through all of the hurdles that it had to start off with, it has still got a few more. It's got to go back to the House, and it's probably not going to pass completely and hit the president's desk until Q4 of this year. So there's still some time there before that really does, kick in and do it. Other things moving up here nicely today. CCL, talked about this with BigBeat. He was a fan of it. My headline here, sorry. There it is. It was up 3%, now up 5% going into earnings. They will hit their earnings here. They'll talk a lot. This should give us a good insight today into what is going on in the Mediterranean. They do cruises there. Are they feeling comfortable there, or what's going on? So our first sites, though, but people are betting so far or pacing their positions to the upside. It is pulling back after hitting a high of 25.60. So again, CCL very strong here today. On the other side, we do see airlines. We're getting hit early. We're bouncing back a little bit. Let's see where they're at here. United Airlines is now up about 3.61%. So we had seen airlines skyrocket up here, as this means, one of their number one expenses is gas and oil, whatever you want to call it, fuel. And we see them skyrocketing up. UAL now up almost 7%. Delta Airlines up almost 5% here. So again, nice resurgence by the airlines. We talked a little bit about Visa and MasterCard. They both got upgrades from Wells Fargo also, which does have them moving a little higher today. Another one that moved up here is Snowflake, and that was on an analyst call with Morgan Stanley, where they talked about how they are really going to be a winner when it comes to the AI bull market. And you can see they're about to open it at an all-time high here. Broke out of a night. You can see it's been consolidating here, and a little bit of a tight consolidation, a little bit of a bullish flag even here. So a breakout to the upside. Could it really be an explosive move? It broke it. So let's see if it makes that explosive move now and can hold up, because that's your bull flag right there. It is broken out. How far will it break? Again, if we start to look at measured moves, it made the move. This move came from 180 to 215, so 35, let's say 40. So upside from here is probably 230. And again, that matches right up with the top of the daily linear regression. So if we do see animal spirits today, you do have a chance to see some things moving. On the bad news side of it, KB Homes, not very surprisingly, was getting hit earlier. It is now moving up. That's interesting. It had slid. You know what? That's not the right one. KBH. That's why. I'm like, wait a second. KBH down about 3.68% here after having a rough earnings call. They lowered their fiscal year revenue guidance from as high as 7 billion to maybe as low as 6.3. And their CEO noted that the housing market has definitely softened. I will point out that this starts to get a little bit interesting too, because KBH are on the lower end of that market. So if they're starting to get hit, it shows that even the lower end of the spectrum, the more affordable homes, although I don't know how affordable I would call things, how that's happening. We are 1 minute from the open here. Like I said, 25.64 on advanced decline. Tick is slightly negative as we get ready to open. We'll stay on the cues here. It's 536.91 currently. So that's where we're at as we move into the open. Here we go. First move. A little bit of chop. No real definitive move. We see algos trying to push it to the downside here, but they're getting back bought up. Here we go. First move is to the downside. I usually fade the first move, so that means we could see a little bit of an upward play here after this settles down. So let's keep an eye on it. Advanced decline didn't really skyrocket up 3,800. So nice move to the upside, but not tremendously. We do see a nice move by the tick here, up about 200, which is nice to see. So a little bit of buying, stepping back in. 3,800 here is sort of our advanced decline. And like I said, the Q's getting bought back up here after that first move to the downside here. And we can see on the lowest level here, I'm actually getting a long signal here out of my Ripster model here. So getting a little bit of a call here to the upside. So, and there it goes. There we go. So it is moving. He's trying to move back to the upside here. 537. Here we go. Mag 7 all open to the upside, although it looks like Tesla you can see a little profit taking there, not very surprising. Want to see here, Bitcoin, a little bit of a drop on the open, 105.097. Nice recovery by crypto yesterday, very nice recovery, but still coming up on its key zones here to support a bullish scenario. We got to get back. Got to get back to our got to get back to 106, 250 or so to start to feel that this recovery is definitely going to happen. Advanced decline, not really moving much here. So after that first move, Qs are trying to break out. I told you they are looking for a breakout here, and if it breaks that 540, watch out above. So 540, any kind of break of that, watch out above. It is trying. So they are battling it out. SPY at 604.71 right now. Same type of setup. Looking for a move to 539 here on the Qs. That's where the ATR would be. VIX back down below 18 here. So VIX seems to trust the fact that this is an actual ceasefire that's going to hold. Let's see what's happening in the chip sector here. NVIDIA, so AVGO, nice move up, 3.65% here. So huge move to the upside here. Chips flying. AMD, BigBeat bought AMD yesterday. Look at that move, up 3.69%. Talked about it here on the show. So if you went in with BigBeat there, AMD, nice move. We'll see. I bought some Goldman Sachs yesterday, up nicely today. You want to take a look at my levels there. And I was looking for a run here to its all-time high around 672. Going to have some resistance at 665, but I am liking what I'm seeing so far. I'm also in the crypto mining company Mara, up about 2% here today, but actually just coming off the lows of the day. Had gotten as high as 1460, so a little bit of a weaker reaction here. Right now using that 200 MA on the hourly as some support, but need to see it break that resistance zone between 1480 and 1495 here to see a true recovery. Got to get back above that 50-day MA there. So let's see what's happening with our laggards and our gainers from earlier here. So CCL, the big winner here, now up 8%. Runaway move here by CCL. Now 9% to the upside. What a run. Nice move by the Bitcoin mining company too. IREN up 5.82% here. Again, another one moving. That's definitely a breakout. Look at that, 1135. So we are seeing some breakouts there. Q's now at 537. So we're trying to make the breakout here. Bitcoin, on the other hand, dropped back down to 105, so not making the move there. What's happening with the alts? And a little bit more love for Solana here than the others. Ethereum at 2417, so we're right back in some of the zones here. XRP starting to see a little bit of love. So crypto starting to see the love now come back in. There goes Bitcoin. So we are seeing a little bit of love come back in here into the crypto side of things. Also, Mag 7 now sees Tesla go negative. So we are seeing some profit taken. Be careful here. This one, you know, I think there's a lot of long people here. It could start cause a little bit of a capitulation. So keep an eye here. NVIDIA, though, 146. There you go. Nice move up by NVIDIA. See what else is going on across the board here. Firm up about 3.1% here today. So after a rough day yesterday, a firm with a nice move to the upside. AMD, like I said, BigBeat's killing it, up 4% here. AVGO, 3.79%. Another one, BigBeat said he was in his Boeing up at 202.35 here. Coinbase with a breakout here also. Coinbase just broke through its key resistance here. This could be a runaway today. Rejected at the top here, but it's got room. Definitely got room. Trying to look here across TweetDeck, see if there's anything else. Not really seeing a bunch of else there for us. There goes Coinbase trying. Advanced decline 34.22, so it has slid down a little bit. And, you know, what we've seen on a lot of this is the, top 10, 15 stocks are really dominating right now. Other stuff, you see so many of the other stocks that are still below its 200-day MA, even Apple here below its 200-day MA. What has been high flying has been, or where have we seen the growth again? NVIDIA, you can see the skyrocketing growth that's moving up the indices here. Microsoft, same type of situation there. Google, not so much, but, here it's playing with the 200-day MA. Amazon well above it here. Meta well above it here. Tesla broke above it and flew from there. Netflix above it. So that's really where the alpha still has been. There's still a lot of catch up that you could see out of the smaller caps for sure. If you look at the RUT versus the others, the RUT's high was 24.66 down, 450 from that right now still. So what's been trailing or what still hasn't made a broader market recovery is the small cap companies for sure. Okay, Quasar Markets Live. I am going to end a little bit early here today. When I'm solo, it's kind of hard to keep it going for that long. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. BigBeat will be back with me, I believe, tomorrow morning, so we will see you then.